Okay, class, week 7, assignment number 2. I have Miss Gabby here, and she'll be helping me out. Okay, question number 1. How can limited time impact the workplace?
So I'm an occupational therapist, and we work 8:30 to can be 5, can be 5:30. It all kind of depends on what the demands of the day are with our clients. Um, but having limited time can ultimately it's going to affect the kind of service that we can provide to our clients, the quality of service, and so we just have to do our best to accommodate for any kind of restrictions or things that come our way to just maintain a good work environment and make sure that we're able to use our time to our best ability.
Can you think of an example of when you have been in this situation?
Yeah, it's very often that we're kind of at the mercy of our patients. We know that they need the rehab and the therapy, so um, a lot of times they will come in late for their appointments or they will reschedule to a different time in the day, and we just kind of have to take it as it comes. So we have to adjust and make time for them and be able to give them the therapy that they need.
You kind of answered this second question. Did you read and adapt to the situation well, which you did. You have to you're at the mercy of them when they come in, and if they come in late or not. Third question would be, how could you have read and adapted to it better, which is really tough in that situation where you're at the mercy of the employee.
Yeah, I mean, we try to urge to our patients that, I mean, they need to be at therapy. Whether they come on time or not is just kind of up to them. Um, but I mean, a lot of times they come in and they see how busy we are, so then it kind of gains their respect of, oh, I need to actually be there when I'm supposed to be there.
Next question is, can you anticipate being in that situation again in the future, which might, might be.
Yeah, we're constantly making adjustments. I mean, a day can't be perfect. Things happen. People cancel. People come in a day early. It just kind of happens. So you just have to roll with it.
You keep answering the next questions. It's funny. When is that likely to happen? And kind of just said you just roll with it. And what options will you have when that happens? You know, you have to push people back and crunch in time, so that's kind of a tough time for you guys to do that.
Yeah, especially right now with so there's still a 6-foot rule in order. So typically we would have 2 patients per table. So we'd be seeing anywhere from usually like 20 to 24 patients a day. But because we can only schedule one person per table, we have to schedule out by 30 to 45-minute increments, which means that we're not able to see the large quantity of patients. So they're scheduled when they are based on how much they need therapy, but then also we have to account for everyone else that needs in. We have to make sure we can make the room.
Very nice. And then again, how will you adapt? And you kind of just answer that to where you're going to have to make sure you make the room and take other precautions with the COVID going on. Next question. How can too much work impact the workplace?
So it is huge within the therapy world, rehab world, that burnout is a thing. And so it's ultimately going to take a huge toll on the therapist, and then in the long run, the company. You know, people are going to find jobs elsewhere. They're just going to get tired of it.
Yeah, that can happen. Can you think of an example when you have been in the situation?
Yeah, I used to work with individuals with disabilities, and it's inevitable that you will experience burnout. And so you either have to figure out what's going to work for you, with making you feel like you're doing your best job for those people, or you have to do what's best for the company and choose to take a leave.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, and obviously no business wants quick turnover. The more you can keep
Mm-hmm.
keep employees, the better your morale will be
Mm-hmm.
in the workplace area, and the more employees will want to come in and work
Mm-hmm.
and put in better um, productivity. And the next question: did you read and adapt to that situation well when there was too much work at the place?
Yeah, because so many people do experience burnout in that field. It's not uncommon to look to the person next to you, and they're probably also experiencing the same thing. So really leaning on coworkers. And I had fabulous staff and managers, and they do a good job of trying to accommodate and giving you time off when you need it, or bringing in like a fun activity for employees to do to just reboot.
Good. How could you have read and adapted to it better?
Um, I guess working with my staff to delegate
Mm-hmm.
better instead of taking it all on yourself to just accomplish what you need to do. Leaning on others and depending on them.
Yeah,
is probably the
communication
best.
with staff and with upper management is really
Mhm.
big, because it can get lost, and there can start to be um, kind of a environment to where it's not fun to be in. So
Mhm.
definitely communication is key with that as well, and then good feedback as well. Can you anticipate being in that situation again in the future? And
Yeah, I mean it's gonna happen. It's inevitable that you will most likely experience burnout, just because doing the same thing for so long, it happens. I think you just kind of have to adjust with how you handle it and respond. Um, so taking care of yourself, taking the time to, relax or just go do something that's gonna help you to reboot.
yep, like, and again, like, kind of just answer the next question. When is that likely to happen? Obviously, it's kind of the inevitable, and when COVID gets lifted and when all this kind of hopefully clears up, you're going to see a big boost in numbers again. So,
Mhm.
what options will you have, and how will you adapt to that in your workplace right now?
So options for.
So as far as like having too much work,
Mm.
are you gonna have to? How are you gonna work with
Yeah, so just
staff members and?
yeah, right now just delegating with the other therapists, pre-planning. Right now, when we do have days with greater numbers, the day before we'll delegate like who's sitting with who's doing what, and then if your session's running a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, just adapting and paying attention to what's going on around you.
Very nice. Third question of the four. How can other people not doing their part impact the workplace?
So it's going to take a huge impact on you as a coworker and as an employee. You'll get run down. You'll probably not be able to fulfill your duties as a dedicated employee. There might become tension with you and this coworker, and then ultimately just impact the workplace.
Can you think of an example of when you have been in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's times when someone's having an off day. I don't know if they are experiencing the burnout,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not able to be their best selves for whatever it is that they're working on or doing, or whoever they're supposed to be with. Someone has to pick up their slack. It's just gonna happen.
Did you read and adapt to that situation well?
Yeah, I usually pick up on that, and like I don't have a hard time saying like, "Hey, what's going on?" or "Do you need some help?" or "How can I help?"
Yeah. You're an employee that everybody wants. I can tell you that right now. How could you have read and adapted to it better? I mean, you kind of answered that again. by personally going to the employee and asking them if there's anything you can do to make their day better. Can you anticipate being in that situation again in the future?
Yeah, I mean, like I've said, it's inevitable that those things are going to happen either to you or to someone else. So I guess it's just being aware, not having your blinders on, and just being aware that there's other stuff going on besides whatever you have going on. So just being willing to help and adapt in whatever way you can.
Nice. I like how it just kind of goes right down the line with being able to adapt with that and answer that next question. Fourth and final one, how can conflict between and among employees impact the workplace?
Well, it's definitely going to negatively impact the workplace, but also just how they're able to go about their day. It takes a toll on the workers as well, because I mean, tension being high isn't fun for anyone. Nobody wants to have tension. It's just going to be stressful, and then you're not going to be able to do your job correctly.
Yeah, definitely communication and that right away is key. That way nothing can spread between other employees as well, because the more they talk, the more things are going to spread throughout the company, and that's something that you definitely do not want. I need to put a stop to it as soon as possible. Can you think of an example when you've been in this situation?
Yeah, recently I had one of my coworkers overheard me talking with someone else and decided to continue to spread what I had said rather than just blowing it off and, not really doing anything with that information. And so that was hard to hear, but what can you do?
Yeah, and did you read and adapt to that situation well? Obviously, when you started to hear stuff from other employees and
Yeah, I feel like it can go one of two ways. Either you just kind of ignore it and don't address it because it'll fizzle out, people will hear it and move on because it really doesn't pertain to them, or you can address it with the person and shut it down. I took the approach of not saying anything, to just forget about it, to try to not increase the tension, but I'm still seeing how that's going.
yeah. So how could you have read and adapted to it better, and then can you anticipate that situation happening again in the future?
I feel like the only alternative would be to have addressed it, and that may have helped, but it also, like I said, may have added more tension, and I would just rather not.
Yeah, well, I mean, an example that you probably could have done is, ask her if she can come into an office with you and bring in a management staff. That way, there's going to be a kind of a manager there to overhear everything. There's always two sides to a story, but again, whenever you have management there that are able to know exactly what's going on during the situation, they'll be able to handle the situation better, as well as better than kind of ignoring it. And you shouldn't have to ignore it and kind of see how it plays out. Again, that build up could be bad in that sort of situation. So what is likely to happen, and what options do you have, and how will you adapt next if that were to happen to you again?
Depending on how this situation plays out, I'll adapt in the future of either playing it out the same way or addressing and just taking it out head first, just figuring it out and addressing it with the person. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Gabby. It was a pleasure.